Hello dear students, how are you all? I hope you are doing well, you are staying healthy, you are staying at home and you are studying as well. It's been so many days we are studying ecology, we are dealing with organisms and populations. We are in the last part of this lecture today, that is population interactions. एक species, one species that is forms one population, how it interacts with other group of species. Okay, एक दूसरे के साथ कैसे interact करते हैं. These interactions will be visible to you if you go out in the balcony. These interactions will be visible to you. Some of them will be visible to you, some may not. But then if you see at the keener aspects of it, बहुत सारी species एक दूसरे से interact करती है. No organism is living alone. You will not find a single species living alone. It will always have interaction with the other species. So today we are going to see those interactions. Whether one species is in harmony with the other, means they are benefiting each other. Whether one species is fighting with the other or is harming the other. Okay, we are going to see whether they are doing a positive effect, whether they are doing a negative effect. All that will be dealt in today's lecture of population interactions. So population interaction for any species, minimal requirement is one more species. You will not see a tree also living alone. I will speak on this. When we see one tree living in the jungle, it's not one tree. It's having the microorganisms from the soil which are helping the tree to uptake the nutrients from the soil. Okay, so it's not alone. Every species will require minimal one more species for its survival. Even a plant species which makes its own food cannot survive alone. Even a plant species which makes its own food cannot survive alone. In nature, animals, plants and microbes do not and cannot live in isolation but interact in various ways to form a biological community. हमने देखा था एक community क्या होती है, where various species, biotic elements, where various living organisms communicate with each other, live in harmony with each other, that forms a community. जब इस community में हम abiotic factors भी add कर देंगे, that is the soil, the temperature, the light, the water, then it forms an ecosystem, which will be our next part of discussion. Okay, once we finish this chapter of organism and population, we are going to start with the ecosystem. So even in minimal communities, many interactive linkages exist, although they may not be readily apparent. Although we may not be able to see them, but they are available, they are going on, those interactions are going on. So population interactions, interspecies interaction means interaction between two species can be of a beneficial type, मतलब दोनों एक दूसरे को benefit कर रहे हैं, they are going to benefit each other. Or can be harmful, one species is going to harm the other. Alright. So interactions can be beneficial, they can be harmful, or they can be neutral, means no effect. They both live in the same community, but they both do not have any interaction with each other. Neither they are benefiting nor they are harming. They are going to stay neutral. So interspecific interactions between the species can be one of a beneficial type, two of a harmful type, and three of a neutral type. We are going to see all these types and the permutations and combinations of each. So now, if I have to put plus sign for beneficial and I have to put a minus sign for harmful and 0 for neutral, these are the types of interactions I can derive between two species. The first one is mutualism, when species A is also beneficial and species B is also beneficial. They both are beneficial to each other. They are playing a role of symbiotic association. दोनों एक दूसरे को help कर रहे हैं. You give me one hand, I will give you one hand. Forms two hands which are going to work together. Is going to be a beneficial association, which is mutualism. We will see mutualism one. We will discuss all these one by one. So okay, coming to mutualism first. Okay, both the species are going to benefit each other. So plus for species A, plus for species B. Very important MCQs, all these specific interactions. They come in MCQs. You have to remember which are the interactions between each of the names of the interaction. मतलब mutualism में दोनों positive होते हैं, competition में दोनों negative होते हैं. You have to remember all that. We will see gradually now one interaction. Now mutualism. The most common example is of the lichens, where the algal cell and the fungal partners are in close association with each other. The algal cells being the reproductive component over here, they are going to produce food, whereas the fungal cells, they are going to provide shelter to the algal cells. Algal cells will provide food to the fungal cells. Fungal cells are going to provide shelter to the algal cells. So this is giving one thing, this is giving one thing. They both are living in mutualism with each other. Another very important example of mutualism is mycorrhiza. We have seen mycorrhiza in microbes in human welfare chapter. Myco means fungus, rhiza means roots. Okay, so mycorrhiza is mutualistic association between the roots of higher plants and the fungi which grow in the soil, which take shelter in these roots. The fungi take the shelter in these roots and provide the nutrients from the soil to the roots, whereas the plant provides food to the fungus to grow. So that is the mutualistic association, mycorrhiza, which is a very common mutualistic association in 90% of the higher plants. Whichever tall trees you are seeing are going to have this mycorrhizal association in the soil. And if this mycorrhizal association is not there, the tree is not going to grow nicely, it's not going to reproduce. Okay? So here, the fungi help the plant in the absorption of essential nutrients from the soil. It's helping in absorption, while the plant in turn provides the fungus with energy-yielding carbohydrates. It provides it the food that it requires. So this is a symbiotic association, that is mycorrhiza. Next, root nodules in leguminous plants. हमने ये भी देखा है in microbes in human welfare. We have seen leguminous plants. Legumes means हमारे pulses, हमारे grams, peas, beans. All these leguminous plants, they have rhizobium over here. We have seen the symbiotic association of rhizobium with the roots of leguminous plants. Rhizobium is going to fix the atmospheric nitrogen for these plants. It's going to break down the atmospheric nitrogen into simple organic compounds which the plant can take up. In return, the plant is going to provide food and shelter to the rhizobium bacteria. So it's a mutualistic association between the rhizobium and roots of leguminous plants. Next, second is various mutual relationships exist between plants and animals. Okay? Between plants and animals also we see different type of mutualistic associations. Plants need the help of animals for pollinating the flowers and dispersing the seeds. You have seen in reproduction of plants, you've learned about pollination, you have learned about asexual means of reproduction. So for pollination, plants require. Plants offer rewards or fees in the form of pollen and nectar for the pollinators and juicy and nutritious foods for the seed dispersers. Okay, they mutually benefit each other. I will show you what I mean. See here, the bee is pollinating the flower. It's taking the pollen grains from one flower, it will bring it to the other flower. Thus, it is helping in the process of pollination. And in turn, the plant is going to give the bee juicy nectar. Okay. And what about bees? What about these animals which help in dispersal of the seeds? The plants provide them with juicy fruits. Okay. Because they are dispersing the seeds, they are helping in reproduction. The plant is going to provide them with juicy fruits. So this is the symbiotic association. It is the mutualistic association between a plant and an animal, between the bees, between the birds, which are the seed dispersals. It is a symbiotic association between the plant and the animal. So it is mutualism. Okay, but the mutually beneficial system should also be safeguarded against cheaters. Now some animals can act as cheaters. They will take the pollen grain from the flower, but they are not going to do the process of pollination. Animals that try to steal the nectar without aiding in pollination, they are not going to do the process of pollination. And pseudopopulators, I will speak on pseudopopulators. Okay. One more symbiotic association, that is mutualism, is seen between the wasps pollinating the fig species. During the course of evolution, ऐसा होता है कि particular species of wasp ही particular species of fig plants को pollinate कर सकती हैं. They co-evolve with each other. The species, they co-evolve with each other. The wasp pollinates the fig inflorescence by searching for suitable egg-laying site. So it pollinates here and it's going to lay its egg also on the fig. In return, the fig offers the wasp some of the developing seeds as food for the developing larvae. Whatever the fig can offer the wasp food for its developing larvae. When the wasp is egg laying over there, when the larvae are going to grow, they need food. The plant is going to provide them with the food. And the wasp is going to pollinate the plant. So that is what, again, mutualism. They are mutually beneficial to each other, plus sign for both. They are beneficial to each other. Now mutualism is also seen in various flowering plants, various flowers. The Mediterranean orchid Ophrys is the common example to it. Okay, one petal of its flowers bears a resemblance with the female partner of that same bee. I will show you what I mean. See this. The flower petal of this Ophrys exactly resembles the female bee. Okay, the female bee which pollinates it. So this male bee is going to get attracted to this flower petal, thinking that it is a female bee. So it is going to come for copulation. Okay, but in turn it's going to take the pollen grains from there. When it goes to the other flower, it's going to leave the pollen grains over there. It's going to do the process of pollination. See, it's come here, it is getting attracted to this flower, it's going to collect the pollens from here, again come here, try to copulate over here, but it is pseudo-copulating. This is not the female bee. It is the flower which resembles, the petals of the flower resemble the female bee to attract the male partner, so that the male partner comes and pollinates. So it is called pseudo-population. So plant-animal interactions often involve co-evolution of the mutualists. That is, the evolution of the flower and its pollinator species are tightly linked with each other. If the bee partner co-evolves to some different size, to some different color, the flower, the petal of the flower will also have to co-evolve to that same size if it has to work with this same partner. If it has to work in mutualism with the same partner species. If the female bee's color patterns change even slightly for any reason during evolution, pollination success will be reduced unless the orchid flower co-evolves to maintain the resemblance of its petal to the female bee. Okay, so both should be co-evolving to each other. If one partner is evolving and the other is not evolving, it is not going to work in the process of mutualism. It's not going to work in the process of interaction. So both of them should be co-evolving with each other. Now these are again very common examples. Mutual relationships between plants and animals. You know the mutual relationship between digestive bacteria and humans. We have bacteria in our gut which are called good bacteria, okay, which help in the process of digestion. Then the mutualistic association between oxpeckers and zebras or rhinos. These avian animals, these avians, they live on the zebras. so that parasites which are residing on them, they can eat them. They can feed on the parasites which are residing on the zebras. In return, what do? They preserve these zebras from any harm. If they see that these species are in harm, they come up and they fly. They give them a signal. Have you seen any Jungle Book movies? You must have experienced, you must have seen this scene. How do the birds, they give signal to the animals below that there is some danger. They come, they make lot of noises, they fly over them. So the animal comes to know that they are indicating of some danger. So it's a mutualistic relationship, okay? At the same time, when there is danger to the zebra or rhino, the bird flies high to alert other animals to its predators. We will see what a predator is. Next, between humans and plants. This is a very common example of mutualism. Okay, the plants give off oxygen, which is important for humans to breathe, while the humans give off carbon dioxide, okay, which the plants need for photosynthesis and to again give out oxygen. It is mutualistic relationship. You give me oxygen, I will give you carbon dioxide. It's a mutual relationship. Next, between the hermit crab and the algae. The hermit crab, it carries this algae species with it to hide itself from its predators. Okay, it carries this plant with itself and it goes. This is a crab which lives in the shallow areas of the sea. We have also seen this mutual relationship. We use the dogs. We use the dogs for detection purposes. We use them for domestic purposes. Okay. So we are providing them with food, shelter. In turn, the dog is working. Okay. The dogs are working for the humans. It's a mutualistic relationship. Now second. Let's come to the second interaction now. When you're making notes, students, when you're making notes for this, mutualism में आप एक पेपर लेके सारे examples लिखो and think of some more common day-to-day examples and add on to it. When we discuss this chapter one-on-one, when the classes start, we will be discussing everybody's ideas on mutualism, everybody's examples. Okay, so each student can have 100 examples. If I get at least one example from all of you in the class, it's going to make a list of 100 mutualism examples. So do that. Make one page, write mutualism on top and write the examples. Write the examples we have discussed here and add your examples to it. Okay, they will be helping you in MCQs also. A lot many examples can come for these interactions. So if a list is ready, you need not think much more on it. You know that in your list this was the example of mutualism. You can directly fit it over there in the MCQ. We will come to the next population interaction, that is commensalism. Now here, one species is benefited. You can see this plus sign, whereas the other species is zero. Zero means neutral. It is neither benefited nor harmed. So neither a plus sign nor a negative sign. It is zero. Means two species living with each other. One is going to get benefited and other is going to remain neutral. It's not going to get benefited from that interaction. Most common example is of an orchid growing on the mango tree. Okay, this orchid which grows on the mango tree, it does not produce its own food. It lives on the mango tree. It's going to take its food, take its shelter, its food from the mango tree. But the mango tree in return is not going to get affected in any ways. So that is commensalism. Epiphytes, ये word हमने पढ़ा था when we had seen different types of plants in different biomes. Okay, epiphytes are the ones which grow on taller plants. The plants which grow on taller plants. Second, barnacles growing on the back of the whale. Can you see this whale? These are the barnacles. They feed by attracting themselves to a whale's belly or back, allowing the species to then eat microorganisms as the whale swims. As the whale swims, these barnacles are going to eat the microorganisms. In return, the whale is neither benefited nor harmed. So it is commensalism. One is being benefited. They are swimming with the whale on the body of the whale. They have attached themselves on the body of the whale and they are swimming with the whale. So this is benefited. Plus side, the whale is neither benefited nor harmed, so neutral. Example of commensalism. Very famous. I hope if you visited farms, if some of you are from farming regions, you have farming ancestors, this is a very common example which you must have seen. हम ये example देखते तो हैं, but we don't realize why the egrets are on top of the cows and buffaloes and oxes in the farms. Okay, because as the cow is going to move, it's going to pick the soil from below. So the microorganisms, the insects which are going to come when the cow is walking, those insects are going to be fed by these egrets. See, which would have otherwise been difficult for the egrets to locate in the farm, in the field. So the cow is going to do that work of digging out the insects from the soil which the egrets can feed on. But the cow, the cattle, is neither benefited nor harmed. Okay, so it's an example of commensalism. The cattle is neither benefited nor harmed. Next is sea anemone and clownfish. A clownfish are usually found living on the tentacles of a sea anemone which stings almost other fishes. This is an algae, a sea anemone, which has stinging tentacles. Okay, so it's going to keep other fishes away. But the clownfish has adapted itself, has evolved itself to live in these tentacles. Thus, it protects itself from the other harmful animals in the aquatic environment. So, sea anemone is neither benefited nor it is harmed, but the fish is benefited, is taking shelter from the sea anemone. So, again an example of mutualism. The fish gets protection from predators. Okay, the fish will get protection from predators which stay away from the stinging tentacles. The anemone does not appear to derive any benefit by hosting the fish. So it is neither benefited nor it is harmed. This type of association, when one species is neither benefited nor harmed, that is, it is neutral, and the other is benefited, is commensalism. Okay, so commensalism का फिर से एक पेज लेना है, ऊपर commensalism लिखना है. You have to write the examples which we have discussed, and you have to think of at least one more example in your common surrounding which is commensalism, and you have to write it down. Alright, when we discuss, हम सबके examples discuss करेंगे. Now, next interaction is amensilism. Amensilism means एक species तो neutral रहेगा, जैसे commensalism में था. One species is going to be neutral, but the other is going to be harmed. This is opposite of commensalism. MCQ आता है. Amensilism is opposite of which interaction? It is opposite of commensalism, जहाँ एक species तो दोनों neutral रहते हैं, but one here is positive and the other is negative. Positive and negative will be opposites of each other. Amensilism commensalism का opposite रहेगा. So see, amensilism का commonest example है black walnut tree. This tree, it exudes certain chemicals. The roots of this tree exudes certain chemicals which are poisonous. Because of these poisonous chemicals which come into the soil over here, no other plants can grow. It's called juglone. The poisonous chemical is called juglone. Because of this poisonous chemical, no other plant can grow in this vicinity of the black walnut tree. Because it is harming the other species and it itself is remaining neutral. It is harming the other species. So example of amensilism, when it is harming the other species, it is not letting any other species grow near it. So that is a negative effect, and this is remaining unaffected. So that is neutral. So So negative and neutral make amensalism. The second commonest example is of the fungus penicillin. We have seen Penicillium notatum, it inhibits the growth of other microorganisms. इसीलिए हम ये एंटीबायोटिक यूज करते हैं. Even humans use it to decrease the count of bacterial count. Okay, to decrease the staphylococcus count inside our bodies because it's going to inhibit the growth of bacteria. So similarly, this Penicillium notatum, this fungus, is going to inhibit the growth of other bacteria, whereas it itself is not going to remain affected by any ways. So this is going to be neutral. It's going to harm the other bacteria. It's not going to let the other bacteria grow. So example of amensalism. हम ये example amensalism का use करते हैं day to day life में. We use it in our day to day life. So you have to remember amensalism is when one species is being harmed and the other is remaining neutral. It is opposite of commensalism. Okay, we come to the next example of population interactions, that is competition. Competition में आप देखोगे 1 is minus, species A is minus, species B is also minus. Means both the species are harming each other. दोनों एक दूसरे के साथ compete करते हैं to survive. They both are going to produce an effective competition for each other. The one which is going to be the fit not only to survive but fit to reproduce. हमने देखा था डार्विन के terms में fitness does not mean only to survive. Fitness means the one who is going to reproduce also. So the fittest one will stay, the other one will get excluded. The weaker one will get eliminated, the stronger one is going to stay. That is competition, but both the species are going to harm each other. They are going to fight with each other until the weaker one surrenders. Okay, so that is competition. Now, Darwin said that competition is a very strong force in the process of evolution. Evolution में competition ने बहुत strong role play किया है, because हम weaker organisms को eliminate करते गए हैं and stronger forms evolve होते गए हैं, stronger species evolve होते गए हैं. Now competition can be between closely related species also, and they can be species which are far from each other. They are not related to each other, but they are competing for similar resources. Okay. इसका एग्जाम्पल है in a grassland. Now you know what a grassland is. You will have grazing animals. You will have the goats and the sheep together. Okay. Now goats and the sheep are closely related species to each other, but they are going to compete for food over here in the grassland. So ये competition होगा between two species which are closely related to each other. Now you can have competition also between the flamingos and the other birds which compete for the same food, that is the zooplankton. Flamingos अगर इस land के permanent residents नहीं है, okay, they are just visiting animals, migrating animals to this land, but still they are going to compete with the other birds, with the other animals over here for the common food, that is the zooplanktons. So you can have competition between closely related species, one. Competition between species which are not closely related, which are not living together, but they are competing for similar resources in some part of time. So competition can be best defined as the intrinsic rate of natural increase R. हमने पढ़ा था population में R is the natural increase in the rate of the population. It's the natural growth in the population of one species. So competition में R can be best defined as the intrinsic rate of natural increase R of one species is significantly reduced due to the presence of other species. अगर एक species है और ये दूसरा species है, and because of this species food to this species A is reduced, its capability to reproduce is going to get reduced, so this is going to surrender itself in the course of evolution. So competition में वही जीतेगा जिसकी intrinsic rate of natural increase decrease नहीं होगी in the presence of other species. Okay, so competition can be best defined as the intrinsic rate of natural increase of one species if it is reduced in the presence of other species. You have to remember this. MCQ इससे related भी आता है. When I am saying survival of the fittest, when I am saying survival of the one who can reproduce at its best, I am saying कि जिसकी natural intrinsic capacity reduce नहीं होगी. Natural intrinsic power जो है वो reduce नहीं होगा. Means उसका growth is not going to reduce. So that is going to survive in longer terms. So species which is fit to reproduce will win. This was shown by an experiment by Joseph Connell. Joseph Connell was a scientist who did an experiment on this using two microorganisms, two sort of animals, that is the Balanus and Cathameles. He used these two. During the course of evolution देखा गया कि the tides of Scotland, the mountains of Scotland were all crowded, were all populated with Balanus, and the Cathameles, that is these transparent ones, they had left. They had surrendered and they were removed. Means the less competitive species is going to get removed eventually from that area. The more competitive one, the more fittest one, the more fittest to survive is going to stay, is going to be in that area. This experiment was done by Joseph Connell to show that during the course of evolution, the species which is more competitive, more fit to reproduce is going to stay back. The species which surrenders, is not able to reproduce in the presence of the other species, is going to leave at one particular time. Okay, so that is what competition is. This I was speaking of. When the flamingos, they come from an outside land, they are over here. These are not closely related species with these birds, but they both are going to compete for the same food, that is the zooplankton. Right? So this is what is competition, and it's a very strong force in the evolution of all the species. Even in the evolution of human beings, competition has played a very important role. Okay, but certain scientists, they say कि बहुत बार competition में species coexist करते हैं एक दूसरे के साथ. Means they partition. Okay, if this is the land given for grazing, the sheep should be grazing in this part, half of the land. Goats should be grazing in the other half of the land. That is how they partition. एक दूसरे की एरिया को लिमिट कर देते हैं. This is your area, you should be over here. This is your area, you should be over here. Okay, like we have the jungles, we have the forest for the tigers, for the lions, for all the other wild animals. Okay, we will not see the wild animals over here around us because this is the place which has been partitioned for human beings. They have kept it for themselves. The jungles of other wild animals. That is how resource partitioning is done. But in a single tree also, अगर एक बड़ा tree है, like we had seen in the tropical rainforest, very tall trees, canopies, okay, in that also, same species of monkeys or different species, they do resource parting. Half of the tree, the fruits will be eaten by this monkey, and half of the fruits of the tree will be eaten by this monkey. That is how they coexist. They coexist, okay? They coexist in the same environment, but they are competitive. Similarly for the birds, okay? They also change their behavioral patterns and live in competition with each other. एक दूसरे के behavioral patterns change करते हैं so that everybody gets the time to eat, gets the time to reproduce. They will live in coexistence with each other by changing their behavioral patterns, by resource partitioning. So competition. You are also competing. You're competing with your other colleagues. For what? What are you all competing? You're competing for that one seat. Okay? You're competing for that one rank. So competition. But this type of competition which is between the two same species. Here we are speaking of competition between two different species. Alright? Now next population interaction, after we have finished mutualism, competition, commensalism and amensalism, is parasitism. You know what a parasite is, okay? So parasitism में एक species benefit होगी, दूसरी harm होगी, So you don't have to confuse parasitism with commensalism. Commensalism में एक species benefit हो रही थी, the second one was remaining neutral. In parasitism, one species is benefited, the other is harmed. That is parasitism. So again, parasitism, parasitic mode of life means having free food and free shelter. उसको बोलते हैं parasitic mode. फ्री में फूड मिलेगा, फ्री में शेल्टर मिलेगा. You have to just grow. You have to use those resources and you have to grow. Alright? So here this parasite is on the host plant. It's going to take all the nutritions from the host. It's not going to do any of its work. Neither to produce food. It's going to stay there for free. The shelter is there, the food is there. So that will become the parasite. This will become the host plant. But again, अगर host में कुछ changes होंगे, if the host plant is evolving during the process of evolution, then the parasite should also evolve if it wants to stay on the same host. Otherwise, during the course of evolution, parasite वहाँ से eliminate हो जाएगा. So parasite should be staying in co-evolution. They both should evolve together. Now parasites can be ectoparasite and endoparasite. Ecto मतलब body के बाहर रहने वाला. Example, ticks on the dogs. Okay, ecto मतलब body के बाहर रहने वाला. Endo मतलब body के अंदर रहने वाला. Can be a human body, can be any animal body. Endo मतलब अंदर रहने वाला. Ecto मतलब बाहर रहने वाला. Okay, so this is the parasite. It's going to benefit, and this is the species B, which is going to be harmed by this parasite. So one is positive, one is negative. The commonest example is of lice on the head. बालों में जो lice रहती हैं, especially in the small children, you will find these lice. These have very sticky foots, which keep them holded on the hair stand. बहुत sticky adhesive footsteps रहते हैं उनके, by which they are adherent on the hair strand. They don't fall off. Okay, and they have very minute suckers, जिससे वो blood suck करते रहते हैं. That is the blood they feed on, and they lay their eggs also in the hair. They are going to lay their eggs also over there. Means they are reproducing also. They are getting their shelter also. They are getting their food also. But in turn, the human being is getting harmed. So that is a parasitism relationship. One species is getting benefited for free, is getting food for free, is getting shelter for free. The other is being harmed. In plants, the example is of the cuscuta. Cuscuta on a shrub. This cuscuta, it does not have its own leaves. It does not do the process of photosynthesis. It does not produce its own food. It feeds on other plant. It feeds on the other plant which it has evolved with during the course of evolution. So this cuscuta is also an example of parasitic plant. Very important MCQs on ectoparasite and endoparasite. आपको समझना होगा, ecto means जो body के बाहर रह रहे हैं, but still they are sucking the nutrition from the body. Okay, they are harming the host. They are sucking the nutrition from the body of the host. So one is benefited, other is harmed. Endo मतलब जो worms body के अंदर रहते हैं. They can be round worms, they can be tapeworms, they can be flatworms. आपने ये worms की diseases अभी Human Health and Diseases chapter में देखा है. You have seen the various diseases caused by these particular worms in human beings. So these will be endoparasites जो body के अंदर रह के harm करते हैं. You cannot actually see them, but when you do your blood test, when you do your fecal test, you will see these parasites. The doctors come to know that because of this parasite, the human being is having all these symptoms. So पैरासाइट्स दे हार्म द होस्ट, वो होस्ट को हार्म करेंगे, होस्ट को फिजिकली वीक बनाएंगे, उसका ग्रोथ रिड्यूस करेंगे, they will reduce survival and reproduction of the host, they are going to reduce the population size of the host. All this the parasite is going to do, it's going to harm the host. So one is getting benefited, the host is getting harmed. एक positive, दूसरा negative, the relationship is parasitism. अब ये जो पैरासाइट्स रहते हैं, स्पेशली द एंडोपैरासाइट्स, एंडो मीन्स बॉडी के अंदर रहने वाले, दे हैव स्पेशल अडैप्टिव मैकेनिज्म्स थ्रू व्हिच दे कैन रिमेन इन द बॉडी ऑफ द होस्ट, फीड ओवर देयर, दे कैन रिप्रोड्यूस आल्सो ओवर देयर, ओके, एंड उनको कुछ हार्म नहीं होगा, द होस्ट इज गोइंग टू गेट हार्म, उनको बेनिफिट होगा. द adaptations are loss of a digestive system. Because these endoparasites, they are going to feed on the already digested food. जो human being digest कर चुका है, already digested food they are going to feed on. They won't have their own digestive system. They will have presence of adhesive organs and suckers. Adhesive organs to stay adherent to the tissues inside, and they will have these kind of small suckers through which they are going to suck the blood. Okay. They will also have a high reproductive capacity. Whether they are ecto or endo, they will have a high reproductive capacity because they are not doing any work and they are getting their food just by being there in one shelter. So they are going to have a high reproductive activity. और कुछ भी काम नहीं रहेगा उनको. They are not going to make their own food. So adaptation of parasites, again very important MCQ. Please make notes. You should know all these points. They will be having loss of unnecessary sense organs. They will not have sense organs, no eyes, no ears, no nose. Because inside the body, they don't need the sense organs. They are going to get everything for free. Okay. Next, second, presence of adhesive organs to cling on to the host. Adhesiveness, ये उनकी एक बहुत important property रहेगी, which is going to help them to be adherent to the host, to cling on to the host and not come out, not fall out. Okay, they will have minute suckers through which they are going to suck the blood of the host. They will have loss of digestive system. इसलिए ये parasites बहुत small इसके रहते हैं. They don't have a well defined digestive system. They don't need it because they are taking already digestive food. And high reproductive capacity. Because they are not doing any other work, उनको shelter free में मिल रहा है, उनको खाना free में मिल रहा है, they are going to have a high reproductive capacity which they are going to reproduce on the host itself, whether it is ecto or it is endo, host में ही वो reproduce करेंगे. Okay, just excuse me a second. They are going to reproduce in the host. So now you must be thinking whether the female mosquito is a vector or a parasite. You have seen the life cycle of the female mosquito, Anopheles mosquito. आपने मलेरिया में अभी ही ह्यूमन हेल्थ एंड डिजीजेस चैप्टर में you have seen how malaria is caused. So the female Anopheles mosquito is not a parasite. It actually does not reside inside the host. Okay, it's just a vector. It's just a vector which spreads the disease from one host to the other. But the actual parasite is the Plasmodium. Okay, the female Anopheles mosquito is not the actual parasite. It's just a vector. Very important MCQ. Female Anopheles mosquito parasite है या vector है या दोनों है. It's just a vector. It just helps in the spread of disease from one host to the other. The actual parasite is the Plasmodium. Life cycle of malaria. उसको देखो एक बार फिर से. Next example is brood parasitism. Brood parasitism is seen in birds. It's a very fascinating example of parasitism. जहाँ पे birds अपने eggs रख के जाते हैं अपने दूसरे birds के nest में for them to grow over there, for them to get incubated over there. Okay, so it's a fascinating example of parasitism in which the parasite bird lays its eggs definitely host के eggs are going to get ignored. So again, host is getting harmed, the parasite is getting benefited. During the course of evolution, eggs of the parasitic bird have evolved to resemble the host egg in size and color to reduce the chances of the host bird detecting the foreign eggs and ejecting them from the nest. During the course of evolution, parasitic birds ने ये भी किया है कि उनके जो eggs आते हैं, they are same in size. They are same in size with the size and shape of the host bird. So they are doing it so that they don't get detected by the host bird. The eggs should not get detected by the host bird and they should not get rejected in the course of evolution. So this is a common example of brood parasitism. Okay, a very common example of brood parasitism. So mutualism में दोनों प्लस था, commensalism में एक प्लस एक जीरो था, means the other species was neutral. Parasitism में one is plus and the other is minus. You have to remember these. आपको ये प्लस प्लस interactions, plus minus interactions, plus zero interactions. You have to remember all these interactions with their names. They are very important MCQ questions. Next we will move to the last kind of interaction. हमने अभी तक mutualism देखा है प्लस प्लस, हमने commensalism देखा है प्लस जीरो, हमने amensilism देखा है माइनस जीरो, हमने parasitism देखा है प्लस माइनस, हमने competition देखी है माइनस माइनस. This is the last which we are going to see, which is again plus and minus, that is predation. One is going to benefit, the other is going to get harm. What is a predator now? A predator acts as conduits for energy transfer from lower level to higher level. जब एक टाइगर एक डियर को खाता है, energy of the deer is transferred from the deer to the tiger, means from the lower level to the higher level. Where did the deer get its energy from? It got it from the plant it was feeding on, because the deer is an herbivore. Okay, it got it from the plant it was feeding on. So plant की energy transfer हुई deer को, deer की energy transfer हुई tiger को, means from the herbivore to the carnivore. From the lower level to the higher level, the energy is getting transferred. Predators keep the prey population under control. Okay, if it was not for the predators, prey species could achieve very high population densities. Predator helps in maintaining species diversity by reducing the competition amongst prey species. All these are very important MCQs. All these sentences are very important MCQs about the predator. Predator help करता है energy transfer में. Predator help करता है prey species की population को under control रखने में. Predator help करता है species की diversity maintain करने में. We are going to discuss all these points. Predators are prudent. What is prudent? I am going to tell you. Okay. What is a prey now? Prey is anything hunted for food. Any plant, any animal which is hunted for food of the higher organism, that the smaller one is the prey. It can be an animal, plant, insect, or even human beings can be prey to wild animals. Even if you or I come in the side of a lion or a tiger, it's not going to leave us. Okay, so we become the prey. The tiger becomes the predator. It's going to come, it's going to take away the human for the food. So prey is the food for the predator. In simple terms, prey is the food for the predator. एक बार predator को ये food दिख गया, means prey दिख गया, the predator is not going to leave. Once the predator has seen कि मेरा food है ये, the predator is not going to leave the prey. वो नहीं छोड़ेगा prey को. How fast you run, you will not be able to run that faster like a tiger. It's going to come and catch you. So one is the prey, the other is the predator. Prey will be harmed, the predator will be benefited, the relationship will be predation. Now, just see, if there is a plenty of grass available, availability of grass बहुत ज़्यादा है, herbivores अच्छे से ग्रो करेंगे, अच्छे से रिप्रोड्यूस करेंगे. If grass is available in plenty to a herbivorous animal which feeds on grass, it's going to feed in plenty, it's going to grow, it's going to reproduce in abundance. Once the growth population of the deers increases, the carnivores reproduce when the herbivores are available in plenty. Now tigers and lions, the carnivores which are feeding on the deers, because the deers are available in plenty, they are going to grow, they are going to reproduce. So carnivore की population बढ़ेगी. Okay, means tiger की population is related to deer की population. Deer की population is related to the availability of grass, that is the plant की population. So each higher level of organism is dependent on a lower level of organism for its growth and reproduction. We will be seeing these chains, we will be seeing these food chains and these trophic levels in the coming chapters of ecology. Okay, you need to understand that one higher organism is always dependent on the lower one. This is again dependent on the lower one for its food, and that is how energy is transferred from one trophic level to the other. So see here, सिर्फ कार्निवोर एक प्रेडेटर नहीं होता है. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एमसीक्यू. एमसीक्यू में कंफ्यूज करने के लिए आता है कि कार्निवोर, दैट इज द टाइगर, इज द प्रेडेटर. नो, द डियर इज आल्सो द प्रेडेटर, बट द डियर विल बी द प्रेडेटर फॉर दिस प्लांट, एंड द कार्निवोर, द टाइगर विल बी द प्रेडेटर फॉर दिस डियर. सो herbivorous animals will also be predators. उनके प्रे होंगे प्लांट्स. Carnivorous animals are predators, उनके prey होंगे deers, that is the herbivores. So both are predators, okay, but the prey is different, the food is different. I told you prey in simple terms is food. So prey is different. इसका prey होगा plant, इसका prey होगा deer, that is the herbivore. So the prey is going to change. So the predator is always going to keep a keen eye on the prey. Predator is always going to watch its prey for hunting, for its food. Predator always wants to eat something. It wants to be fit. It wants to be fit to reproduce. Okay? It's going to keep a keen eye on the prey. It's going to hunt the prey. Predation का और एक example है prickly pear cactus का. This was a cactus which was introduced in Australia. Okay, Opensia जिसका नाम भी है, common name is prickly pear cactus. It was introduced in Australia in 1920 as a natural agricultural defense boundary. Now, because the cactus has thorns, it was introduced as a natural defense boundary of an agricultural field. But it started to grow in abundance. It also captivated the whole agricultural land. It was spreading, started spreading, because there was no predator to it. It was a species which was introduced from the outside land in Australia, but there was no predator to it. So there was nothing which was going to eat it, which was going to feed on the cactus, and therefore it was growing enormously. Okay, the invasive cactus was brought under control only after a cactus feeding predator, a moth. The name of the moth is Cactobacillus cactorum. Only after Cactobacillus cactorum was introduced to Australia could they reduce the population of this prickly pear cactus. So if the predator is not there, the prey population is not going to be under control. मेरा first point was slide पे. I told you we are going to discuss all these points. अगर predator नहीं रहेगा, prey population control में नहीं रहेगा. It is for the predator, it is because of the predator, the prey population is under control, because the predator is going to feed on it. Very important MCQs, prickly pear cactus, Australia 1920. The predator is Cactobacillus cactorum. It is a cactus feeding predator, that is a moth. ये सब नाम बहुत important MCQs हैं. You have to remember them. Next, the water hyacinth, which is the terror of Bengal. The synonymous situation of Australia in India is of the water hyacinth, which is also called the terror of Bengal, because of its beautiful purple colors. Because this plant was having beautiful purple colors, it was introduced by the British colonials in India during 1890s. Okay, and when it was planted near the water bodies for the scenic beauty, it started to grow. Puri ki puri water body it was capturing. It was growing enormously. There was nothing to stop the growth of this water hyacinth. Okay, it was using all the oxygen from the water bodies. So the fishes were dying. The oxygen which actually was used by the fishes, this water hyacinth was using it. So the fishes were dying. That is why it is called terror of Bengal. Okay, it was mostly seen in the region of Bengal. Water hyacinth, its name is Eichhornia crespis. It grows at an alarming rate and spreads on the surface of the water body. It grows only on still water body, not on running water body. Very important MCQ. It grows only on still water body. Okay, and it cuts out the light and oxygen, even the light to the aquatic organisms below, aquatic animals below. The light is cut off because of these plants on the surface of the water. The oxygen is cut off, so they are going to die. Fishes and other aquatic organisms. It was causing the death of the fishes and other aquatic organisms. So, you have to find out how India got the control over this water hyacinth. This activity is for you. Google karo about terror of Bengal. Google karo about water hyacinth. Find out how did they control the growth of water hyacinth. Okay, you have to do that. Next is the starfish disaster in the rocky intertidal communities of American Pacific coast. Okay, the starfish disaster is an important predator. वो predator है मतलब क्या? वो बहुत सारी species को खाता है. बहुत सारी species उसकी prey है which live in the intertidal water bodies. Okay, in the American Pacific coast. In a field experiment, अब एक field experiment की गई थी जिसमें starfish was removed. Starfish को remove कर दिया. So during 2 to 3 years of time, the other invertebrate species had also left. They had left because competition नहीं था. पहले बहुत सारी invertebrates के बीच में competition था. To escape from the starfish, they were having competition. Okay, they were growing in that competition, evolving in that competition. Once the starfish was removed, there was no competition. So the 10 species were removed. So I spoke कि predator जो है वो species की diversity maintain करने में help करता है, species को आपस में competition में रखता है. So this is what that means. Okay, interspecific competition, interspecific species को एक दूसरे के साथ maintain करने में, biodiversity maintain करने में predator has a very important role. See, this was the scenario when the starfish was there, and this was the scenario 1 year back. Starfish को remove किए ही थे वो experiment में, but the other invertebrates had also reduced. 2 to 3 years down the line, there were very few invertebrates because the starfish was not there, the predator was not there. ये biodiversity पूरी reduce हो जाएगी. Okay. Now, predators are prudent. Prudent means they are thoughtful. They are not greedy. They know if I have 10 chocolates, if I am going to eat all the 10 today, I may not have anything to eat tomorrow. They know if I am going to eat all the 10 today, I will not have anything to eat tomorrow. So they are very thoughtful. वो prey की populations को पूरा खत्म नहीं करते हैं. वो prey की population को पूरा खत्म नहीं करेंगे. They are going to eat only what is required. Okay, they are going to leave the prey species also to grow, to reproduce, so that they have food for lifetime. Because if the prey is exploited, if the prey population खत्म हो जाएगा, तो predator is not going to get food. The predator is eventually going to die. So predators are thoughtful enough, they are prudent enough. If a predator is highly efficient, it can overexploit its prey, thereby resulting in the extinction of the prey and eventually itself. अगर prey खत्म हो गया, food खत्म हो गया, तो predator is also going to die eventually, okay, because of no food. So when need turns to greed, it leads to co-extinctions. So predator is thoughtful enough. वो अपनी need को greed में turn नहीं होने देना है. Okay, it does understand that if I have 10 number of chocolates, I am going to eat only 2 today. I am going to eat only 1 today. I am going to let the others be there. कल कुछ खाऊंगा, थर्ड डे पे कुछ खाऊंगा, फोर्थ डे पे कुछ खाऊंगा, बाय द 10th डे उसमें से कुछ भी प्रोड्यूस करेंगे, सो दे आर गोइंग टू ग्रो. So the predator is going to be thoughtful for food for the future. That is, the predator is prudent enough. ये सब प्रॉपर्टीज, ये सब कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं प्रीडेटर्स के जो MCQs में बहुत बार आते हैं. You get it as MCQs. Predators are prudent. Predators are going to help in maintaining biodiversity. Okay. Predators are going to help in transfer of energy from higher level, from lower level to higher level. Predators are going to do all this. To survive from the predator. अब prey भी तो कुछ करेगा ना. Predator is doing everything. The prey is also going to do something to survive from the predator. Okay. The prey populations have evolved various defense mechanisms. One is the camouflage and the other is mimicry. Camouflage आप सबको पता है, environment जैसा है वैसे कलर में एनिमल टर्न हो जाता है. It co-evolves so that it is not sought out by the predator. Predator उसको ढूंढ नहीं सके, उसको spot नहीं कर सके. I will show you some examples. See, can you spot the owl over here? Can you spot the frog over here? Can you spot the lizard over here? Okay, they have camouflaged with the environment. They have camouflaged with the environment they are living in, just to fool the predator. Just to fool the predator, the prey is camouflaging. Okay, to survive. So, an adaptation that allows the animal to blend with its environment to avoid being detected. This is natural. The nature has done it. The organisms have evolved in this manner. They have camouflaged. See this snow owl. Can you spot the snow owl over here in the snow? Okay, it's very difficult in action scenarios. Here I am showing you a picture, I am highlighting it for you, so it's easy. But in action scenarios, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to find this over here. They camouflage so beautifully. Can you see this frog over here? It's camouflaging very beautifully. So human beings have also used this. हमने ये डायग्राम, ये पिक्चर पहले भी डिस्कस किया था. Human beings ने भी नेचर से सीखा है camouflaging. How the organisms they fool the predators. Okay. So Indian Army के लिए predator कौन होगा? Pakistan Army. Okay. The predator is Pakistan Army. It's going to fool its predators by camouflaging. Indian Army की dress जो designed है, it's designed in such a way that it absolutely camouflages with the environment, with the surroundings, so that the soldiers are not spotted. They're not spotted by its predators. So human beings have also learned from nature. उन्होंने camouflaging सीखा है, and that is how we apply it also. This is an example. This is just one example. आप अपने surroundings में देखोगे, you will find various such examples जिसमें human beings have used the property of camouflaging. Next is mimicry. Now camouflaging was one which the prey was doing to prevent itself from the predator. Mimicry is the other, an adaptation in which the animal is protected against the predators by its resemblance to another animal. It looks like but is not, but it is not. ये दूसरे animal को mimic करेंगे, mimicry. They are going to mimic the other animal so that the predator will think that this is this animal, but actually it is not. Okay? Example is of this butterfly, which is poisonous. Okay? Which is poisonous, and this is the butterfly, which is the fake one, which has evolved in same color and size as this. To this, now this is the butterfly, example is given, which will be very distasteful. Okay, monarch butterfly. Its taste is very distasteful because of some poisonous chemicals it has acquired during the larva stage. It's going to be very distasteful. So predators, they avoid eating this monarch butterfly. What this other butterfly has done, it has mimicked the shape and size of this monarch butterfly. Now the predators are not going to eat this butterfly also, assuming that this is the monarch butterfly and it is going to be distasteful. So that is called mimicry. The harmless Philippines cockroach mimics the ladybug. beetle. Now this ladybug beetle is noxious. If any animal feeds on this ladybug beetle, it is very poisonous to the animal. Okay, the animal is going to get harmed. So no animal feeds it. So this cockroach, it has mimicked its appearance to prevent from the predator, to remain isolated from the predator. See this poisonous snake and the non-poisonous snake. The non-poisonous one has also evolved same characteristics like the poisonous one to prevent from its predator. This shape of this insect mimics the shape of a leaf. Okay. For plants, herbivores are the predators. We spoke that herbivores are also predators. I also told you, it's a very important MCQ also. Herbivores and carnivores both will come in predators अगर MCQ में पूछा गया हो. Okay, but for herbivores के लिए prey कौन रहेगा? Plants रहेंगे. Okay, because they feed on plants, so their prey is the plant. Nearly 25% of all insects are known to be phytophagous. Phytophagous means they feed on plant sap and other part of the plants. What is sap? It is plant juice. हमने plant sap के बारे में पढ़ा है. Do you remember toddy? Okay, it is a juice of the plant. Right? How toddy is prepared? It is prepared from plant sap. So now, majority of the insects they feed on plant sap and other parts of the plants. But unlike the animals, plants cannot run away. Plants भाग नहीं सकते हैं अपने predators से. They have to be in that same place. So they have to develop some mechanism जिससे herbivore उनको आके नहीं खाएगा. They have to develop some mechanism by which the herbivore is not going to come and eat that particular plant. So those mechanisms are morphological and chemical. Plants have defense mechanisms which can be morphological, means thorns, spines, as in the cactus and acacia. Because of these thorns and spines, no herbivore goes near these plants to eat them. Okay? Because if the herbivore comes to eat it, the herbivore itself is going to get damaged. Itself is going to get harmed. Chemicals, various chemicals are given out by fungi and calotropis. Because of these chemicals, the organisms which will feed on them are going to get sick. So no organisms come and feed them. No herbivores come and feed on these plants. See. Many plants produce and store chemicals that make the herbivores sick when they are eaten. It inhibits feeding or digestion and it disrupts its reproduction or even kills it. So this is a defense mechanism by plant to protect itself from the predator. It's going to protect itself from the predator. The calotropis which we saw, it produces highly poisonous cardiac glycosides. It produces cardiac glycosides, and that is why you will never see any animals grazing on the calotropis. That is a chemical defense mechanism. Now nicotine, caffeine, quinine, opium, all these are chemical substances extracted by us for our use by the plants. But for many animals, for many herbivores, these are actually chemicals which make them sick. These are actually poisons. Okay? For human beings also, if taken in a large quantity, these are poisonous. Whatever drugs we are using it for, we are using it only in a small quantity. So it's poisonous. Our population interactions are over. We've seen all the populations starting from mutualism, commensalism, amensilism, parasitism, predation and competition. All the 6 interactions we have seen. One point I want you to understand is, in predation, parasitism and commensalism, ये 3 ऐसे interactions हैं when the interacting species live very close to each other. आप examples सोच के देखो आपके यहाँ पे. Parasitism में 2 species साथ में रहते हैं. Predation में 2 species साथ में रहते हैं, आजू बाजू में अपने रहते हैं. Commensalism में the species are staying near each other. The cattle and the egret एक दूसरे के साथ रहते हैं. So very important MCQ. Which type of interactions will have the species staying near to each other or living very close together? The examples examples are predation, parasitism and commensalism. इसमें एक और MCQ आता है, कौन सा पॉपुलेशन इंटरैक्शन है जिसमें वन स्पीशीज इज बेनिफिटेड एंड द अदर इज हार्म. इसमें प्रेडेशन भी आएगा और पैरासिटिज्म भी आएगा. सो इफ प्रेडेशन, पैरासिटिज्म both are present in the options, then both will be answered. Okay. So here we come to the end of this chapter, organism and population. Again revision tips. ये सारे species interaction explain करो. Explain it to your mother, to your father, to your grandparents, to your younger or older brothers and sisters. It's very interesting. Explain them mutualism क्या होता है, commensalism क्या होता है, competition क्या होता है. They are very easy to understand terms and with very easy to understand examples. Frame your own examples to explain them these interactions. That is how you understand. जब आप नोट्स बना रहे हो, म्यूचुअलिज्म के पेज पे ऊपर प्लस और प्लस हाईलाइटेड रखो. कमेंसलिज्म के पेज पे ऊपर प्लस और जीरो हाईलाइटेड रखो. Do that for yourself so that when you are reading, you know mutualism is plus plus. You have all the examples of mutualism on one page for revision for during your final exam time. Alright, I will see you soon with a test on this chapter. I hope you are reading. Go through all the lectures, go through your notes, go through your NCERT textbook. Be ready for a test on the chapter of organism and population. Bye bye, take care.